dominated that. Absolutely dominated that during the very early stages of the event. So thank you so much everyone who's been continuing to support the event, tuning in. I hope you all enjoy the playoffs, as we have, to the bottom right hand side, our blue Terran player. It is, from Africa, aLive. We just saw him moving through his group of death in the Leifeng Cup earlier today. If you guys remember, he was playing up, he was going up against the likes of Stats and Gumiho, and he took down Gumiho in both the regular matches, and then there was a tiebreaker, and we had the matches go on again. We redid the matches basically because of the tiebreaker. It was best of ones in the tiebreaker. He beat Gumiho again, and it was Stats who actually made the difference in the tiebreaker, who lost to Gumiho initially, did end up winning the against Gumiho in the tiebreaker to send him through in first place, and aLive through the group in second. So aLive advanced to the Leifeng Cup 156 playoffs. Great to see him there. He'll be live there next week on the Wednesday. We still have 2 more groups of that on Monday and Tuesday though, so I hope to see you there for that. Right here on the channel, live on WardiTV, the exclusive English coverage of Leifeng Cup every Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. To top left hand side, our red Terran player is going to be KeeN, who I don't think is on Africa anymore. There were some rumours because he wasn't listed there for the Casper Cup qualifiers or so. I'm not too sure. Anyways, it's KeeN to the top left hand side. He's the red Terran player as we set up into this game. Guys, the donator was Port80SE. He's actually he's a sub here on the channel, so shout out to him for supporting the StarCraft. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We had another donation as well. Sorry, I don't actually have it up here either. Whoa, Port80SE! No way, guys! We just hit $1,000. Port80SE just added another $66 to make it $107 total that he's added. And he has literally just made us hit our target of $1,000. Wow. Wow. Dude, can we get some love in the chat for Port80SE? What an absolute god. He just donated $107 just straight up to make us hit our goal. Alright, right then guys. Well, the Wardi Open is officially a $1,000 event. Isn't that just ridiculous? Thank you so much for the support, Port80, and everyone else as well. I better start talking about this game, because otherwise I'm not going to get into it at all. And we all know TvT, it ends in like a flash. And if it's just going to end super quick, I want to have actually talked about the game. Thank you very much, Port. I will give you some more love later. As we do have these couple of Reapers just going to sit up on the high ground here, just going to sit there. And I'm going to see a Hellion from KeeN going to be moving into join up. So just going to see a couple of Reapers and a Hellion. The Reaper from aLive, if he's paying attention, should pull back immediately, which it does. Good stuff, and he's got his own Hellion, couple of Marines out. Slight differences. He went into a Reactor after 1 Reaper. KeeN goes for 2 Reapers, then the Reactor. Is this Reaper going to stay alive? It should just about be able to. Yes, the unit's coming forward here, just help push it away. He has to be a little bit careful, taking quite a lot of damage here, but he actually picks off the Hellion. Really nice pick off there. As we're going to be seeing these extra units just kind of gathering together from aLive. And they're just gathering together down on the natural expansion. These couple of Reapers of KeeN are going to be popping up in towards the main base in a moment or two. And they're going to be actually greeted by a couple of Hellions. So not going to have the best of times, but they do get out alive. Obviously, because it's a ledge, the Hellions cannot chase down. As we're going to be seeing these couple of Marines continue to move on out here in the early stages. And Cyclone and a Liberator, actually. The Liberator is interesting. Usually we see something like a Cyclone Viking sort of thing to stay safe in the early stages. But a Cyclone Liberator here from KeeN. So, a little bit different. The Liberator obviously allows him to put on a lot of pressure, and that's a nice little kind of touch. You're going to see this Raven on the way out from aLive right now. That's just starting up here. We're going to see this command center coming in on the main base as well, so the third CC is on the way up. Raven is starting up here from aLive. I'm just going to be seeing a Medivac starting up from KeeN as well. And again, that's that one Hellion from KeeN just sat just to the right side here. So, just sat just to the right, and we're just going to be seeing it, well, a couple of Reapers just coming through the center of the map. So, a couple of Reapers just going to come through the center and looking to see if they can still get some more damage done. The Liberator coming in as well. So in some ways, this Reapers might just try and distract a Cyclone at the front, try and draw it out of location so that the Liberator has more time to get damage done. See, just like right in the middle of the mineral line. In TvT, you know, anything that's going to kill a Liberator is going to be able to kill it from wherever, like a Viking or a Cyclone. It doesn't matter if the Liberator is positioned all the way back. So it's best to position it right in the middle, so that it's guaranteed to get the most worker kills possible. Liberator will go down, gets 1 more kill here. Oh, 2 more kills. The Gust Live puts those workers back in a little bit too early. I'm just going to be seeing him pulling back just a little bit here on the natural. We do see this Medivac from KeeN going to be heading back up the left side of the map. And just see those units of KeeN just gathering together in the center and continuing to move on down to the bottom right-hand side. Double engineering bay on the way from aLive. We're going to be seeing the +1 weapons on the way up from KeeN as well. I'm just going to be seeing this Cyclone, this Hellion from KeeN continuing to move down, continuing to look to see if he can get a bit more pressure kind of going for himself. He's going to go for this bit of a push, and it's the kind of thing we've been seeing a lot of lately. It's like one tank back attack. It's sort of interesting. The Cyclone goes down there very quickly. That's nice. No high ground vision for KeeN to actually use the tank shot there initially. You see just our Terran player aLive just pulling back. He does have the faster third base, so while he lost a lot of workers earlier, he is clawing it back a little bit. He has that extra mule for a little while, so it's not as much of a deficit as it may have initially seemed. As we're going to be seeing those Marines, the tank evac continuing to move towards the upper left-hand side. Just going to be seeing these units just gathering together from KeeN. We're just going to be seeing, again, just aLive, just getting everything set up, ready to go. Going to see these couple of Hellions coming around the left side, looking to see what's up. So a couple of Hellions going up the left side. We do just see kind of more units just gathering together. One Marine going all the way to the far right here. +1 attack on both players. Upgrade tab, as well as the +1 armor. Stim is very similar timed. It is just KeeN's slight worker advantage, which he has as an advantage now. Other than that, the game is looking to be relatively even. Even army counts at this point are sort of still similar. So very, very similar sort of armies at this point in time. And it's just that sort of situation here because, again, aLive had the slightly faster third ZC, and while it didn't catch him up in workers all the way, it obviously lessened the gap, and the extra mule has helped a lot to just keep the army sort of similar here. So Cyclone comes into the center. aLive is going to be picking off a Marine here, nice and quickly. I was going to see this medevac of KeeN just coming down the left-hand side, going to start unloading a few of these Marines as well. So a few of those are going to begin to unload, and they'll move towards the third base very shortly here, I'm sure. I'm just going to be seeing a Viking, a Raven, and a Cyclone all moving over to this side and in towards the third base. And they're going to start targeting down these Marines. You're going to see these tanks dropping off as well, and Marines continue to get picked away at. So Marines get shut down pretty darn swiftly. As you can see, 3 workers lost as 2 medevacs load up, and they're going to be moving out once again just to keep on seeing what is going on. Combat shield has started here from aLive. Then we see Stimpack not going to be too far away from finishing as well, as those 2 tank effects from KeeN load on up and have a little bit of a look to see where they're going to be able to get to next. +2/+2 coming in from aLive. The +2 attack coming in from KeeN as well. As we do see now, aLive just moving up the right-hand side, so he's going to get aggressive for like the first time in forever, it feels like. He's really not done anything at all this game so far, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see if he can be aggressive after the damage he took early. Honestly, it looks as though he can be. He's going to pick up a couple Marines to begin with. His combat shield is a little bit far behind, but neither player have combat shields, so that's fine. The Raven is sort of the oddity in this, I guess, because a mixture of auto turrets / PDDs could change things up in the sky or on the ground. But he's not going to commit in. He knows it's too risky of a situation. I'm just going to see these tanks from KeeN just going to siege up just to the right-hand side of the base, so he's very safe, and aLive knows it, backing away. And we're getting into a nice little macro game in the first map of the first series of the day here in the Wardi Open round of 8. We're just going to be seeing Marines, tank evacs, all joined up together. There's Viking Raven from aLive as well. Still just around and still kind of has a bit of use. Maybe the single Viking won't do a lot. They might just add on a little bit of damage to a medevac or two, and you never know when that little bit of damage ends up being the kill. The Raven especially, though, I mean, that has uses throughout the game with auto turrets being used, point defense drone to maybe keep the kind of sky fight even or so. A lot of different sort of things. We're going to be seeing these couple of tanks just going to reposition towards the left-hand side of the third base. Marines going to gather up together. Viking Raven still in the sky. 2 more tanks moving forwards from aLive. As KeeN backing away with his tank effects right now, leaving a few Marines down here in the sensor tower range. Backs away though, and again, a very passive game where it's Frozen Temple, and so while there is multiple attack pathways to use, each player, as they get sensor towers set up, will get very good warning of their opponents sort of moving in towards them. And so they'll be very aware of that sort of stuff happening. As you see these Marines just stimming up the right-hand side from aLive is just going to actually find those medevacs. And it's just little things like this. Both players will continue to contest for map control so that they can just spot armies moving into positions, and so they can shut them down in plenty of time. Moving in here, this is a nice pick off by aLive who kills off both of the medevacs, so there's no retreat possible there. And I love this from KeeN, just 3 Marines stimming ahead of the rest just to clean out those scattered Marines so that he can bring a bit more of his army in this location. Still leaving some tanks at home, some Vikings as well. Not committing with his entire army just yet. Still just gathering together. 4 Vikings actually up here from KeeN, so really looking to kind of trade off against the medevacs of his opponent, shut down maybe the tank evac movement and mobility throughout the stages of the game. Going to be seeing these 2 Vikings from KeeN just moving over to the right-hand side, and the tank evacs as well up in the sky from KeeN, looking to see what's going to be going on next. Marines just going to be joining up together, and again, tank evacs from aLive just covering over towards the bottom left side now. We're going to see a couple of Marines from KeeN moving in towards the center here. Going to pick off that one Marine to begin with, and again, Marines to the right side from aLive, just taking map control. Just real kind of like little bits and pieces of units here and bits and pieces of units there, just looking to see what they can do, but none of them ever really achieving anything, and it's one of those TvTs where you can really expect to see it going much later into the game. That said, KeeN has fallen a little bit behind in army supply now. I don't really know how that's happened, because if there's anyone who's had an economic advantage through the game, if there's anyone who's had an economic advantage through the game, it's been aLive. So I'm not sure why aLive is maxed out here first. He's actually got a bank rolling for himself as well. I look at the upgrade tab, and actually KeeN's aLive on a +3 armor upgrade as well. So I'm not 100% sure about this. Army values are a little bit more mineral heavy from KeeN, from aLive. It's actually just more of everything, but yeah. It's an interesting one. Interesting little thing that we're seeing there. Anyways, these units are going to start dropping over here, but the tanks of KeeN in a good position, and they do get the first shots off, which is just so important here. And also being able to have the Vikings in the sky, you can just see how that comes into play, as these tanks actually from aLive firing onto a whole bunch more Marines over there. And that's the power of the Vikings, though, pushing back the medevacs now. This is a good fight from KeeN. Cleaned up a lot of the tanks and defended well. Nothing else going on the map at the same time, so could focus all of his attention to getting in the right location on the left-hand side here, making sure his opponent wasn't going to be abusing him out of position. I love this, though, knowing your opponent's to the left and then all of a sudden just attacking straight through the center. On Frozen Temple, it works so well because it's such a small map. You can get through the center so quickly, and before your opponent can actually retreat through the left-hand side of the map. So here we go. He's going to be moving forwards. KeeN's about to walk into Sensor Tower range. He scans, though. He'll see there's enough army here, and he's just going to have to back away. Again, another moment in the game where he just doesn't quite have enough to really set up an aggressive position. Obviously, his fourth base is coming from either player. They stretch out a little bit further, but what actually might become a thing here in this game is we might even see it go into 5 bases. And once it gets up to 5 bases, that's when the positional TvT really is going to come into play here, because what will happen is that both players will be very stretched out either to the bottom left or up the right hand side / left hand side of the map, you know, and as they stretch out further, that leaves gaps in their defenses and more locations to hit as the other player. So it might just take another kind of 5 minutes here to really find aggressive opportunities for either of these guys, because neither of them want to take a fight when the other is in a defensive position, and the other is always going to be in a defensive position because the sensor tower's telling you that he's coming from a mile away. Tank's already in location here. Once again, aLive scans it and immediately knows just to back away. And the good thing is as well, aLive's not kind of overcommitting to anything. He knows that there's potential smaller armies out on the map for KeeN. He sees that now, although that's a nice little pick off of these Marines, targets the tank back down. But because he knows about those armies, he's already got some tanks in position. So he's not immediately in the best positions. He might have this factory shelled away at by a single tank or so, which is annoying. But it's not unengageable for him. It's not like this is a huge clump of army as well, because they're both just keeping track of who's got army where and how much of the army is in each location too. Look at this, aLive splitting up his army to the left, leaving a good chunk of it there, ready to greet KeeN if he does come down this direction. Looks as though aLive is probably thinking about maybe engaging into this right now. Stimming in, he's got way more Marines. The tanks will drop down as well to help out. And you can just see this is a very one-sided fight in favor of aLive, so KeeN has to back away from this one. Still plenty of money in the banks of both players to play with, as we'll see this command center will get cancelled. That's something which aLive just has to do pretty much immediately here. I mean, there's no way he's going to save that one. We're actually going to see the Marines loading into the medevacs now. I love that he's actually had a group of Vikings to the right side, but he also has a group of Vikings with these medevacs to the left as well. And this is a drop which is just looking to head straight to the main base, I think. I mean, he could unload behind the fourth, but there's not really much of it. I mean, he could, but I just don't think. I think the main base is more obviously where he wants to attack. He's obviously going to just fly through the turrets here. Yes, it's not ideal that he's going to lose a medevac full of Marines, but he's putting himself in a position. It's the first time I've really seen KeeN, or either player really, find a way to get damage done, because it's the first time aLive isn't necessarily immediately in position, but he's not too far off responding. He's going to clean this up actually pretty easily himself, and this actually went okay for aLive in the end. KeeN really not getting too much done. I mean, just losing the medevac on the way, and there was already some Marines here as well. It was a good setup from aLive, and he just very centralized with the rest of his army, so he can get those units into position when he needs them. Lots of tanks now from KeeN down the right side, though, but look at this. As a lot of them are sieging, we are going to see aLive dropping in. Not sure about this fight, though. He loses a lot of tanks. His rest of his Marines are way too late. More tank evacs coming in, but is it just a little bit too late right now? They're going to drop down. They take a big shot to begin with. They clean out a couple of tanks, but nowhere near the amount he's losing. KeeN takes way too good of a fight. All of a sudden, aLive just completely falls apart. That drop in the main base may not have done much after 150, but obviously 200 was a much better choice because we're still rocketing up in the sub count, so that's pretty insane. Thank you very much for subscribing, Fueled by Game, and welcome to the War Disciples. and enjoy your first month as a sub here on the channel. As we have to the bottom right hand side, our blue Terran player from Africa, it is aLive. And to the bottom left hand side, the red Terran player is going to be KeeN. So we set up into game number 2, and New Gettysburg is a completely different beast to Frozen Temple. So this is actually really interesting for me because New Gettysburg should really be a map which actually, if these guys went macro on Frozen Temple into the mid stages, well, if they both survive the early game, this should be a mega macro game because this is just a map which has so many fewer attack paths. There's so much less to watch. You're not going to see many attacks through this bottom side. The drops into the main, well, they're very easily shut down by just a row of turrets. That's pretty much what we see everyone doing. And so you take your 4 bases, you sit back very defensively, and there's only one location for your opponent to attack in, and you just put your army very centrally around about here, if you're up to 4 bases or so, you know, in this sort of area. And you're going to defend everything. Yes, drops might run in from over here, but that's what you put a Sensor Tower on the 4th base for, to get everyone in about it. So if this doesn't end in the early stages of the game, we are going to be seeing a very long game, I feel, based on what we just saw in Frozen Temple. aLive has been on fire lately, by the way. He's been playing really well, especially in TvT. He just took down Gumiho 3 maps in a row today. On Monday in the Leifen Cup qualifier, he went 2-1 against Bjorn, then took a map off Ryong, who then went 2-3 against Bjorn later. Like, his TvT, especially aLive, has been really, really, really great lately. It's been incredible. It's been really, really incredible. So really excited to see some more TvT coming out of him here. As we, I think he'll bounce back. I don't think this is going to be a sweep at all. As we're going to be seeing the SCV just backing away over to the left-hand side. I mean, aLive just building up his command center on the natural expansion. And there is a Reaper popping out. And he's just going to be moving out here looking to see what sort of direction he could head in. If he wants to head out in a direction at all, sitting on top of the, sitting on top of the ramp here is a very safe thing to do. Because by sitting on top of the ramp, what happens is that if a Reaper comes in from his opponent, he naturally has a high ground advantage on his side. Interestingly, KeeN once again built an extra Marine after the Reaper. Obviously, last time he didn't go with Marine. He went second Reaper. But it's, again, another unit before the reactor. So very safe out of KeeN here, honestly. Very safe indeed, as we do see the CC from both players just heading up. Factory's a little bit later from KeeN. Not really sure why exactly. Maybe just slightly different builds in the start. Like gas first against no gas first or something. I was just going to be seeing this order command continue to pop out some more SCVs. And, well, the starport is on the way out of aLive. Starport's just over halfway done. This tech lab's building the barracks. I think that's probably going to signify a Cloak Banshee player here in the very near future. So, Cloak Banshee player coming on up, and we're just going to be seeing these couple of Hellions and the Reaper moving through the bottom side to see what they can get up to. So 2 Hellions, 1 Reaper setting on up. We're going to see 2 more Hellions popping out in a moment or 2 from aLive. I'm just going to be seeing Reaper and 3 Marines just going to be continue to sit on the high ground as well. Neither player really getting adventurous with their Reaper to any extent. I mean, aLive is obviously very safe with 2 Hellions alongside the Reaper, and he's just sitting here to the bottom. So just sat at the bottom and looking to see what's up. Can I tell you how to fix the names of the WCS game hard thingy? Control-Shift-C turns clan tags on and off. So Control-Shift-C will turn the clan tags off, and that will fix it. As we do have this Reaper just going to the far right-hand side, we do see a couple of Hellions just up this ramp as well. Looking to see what's going on. Reaper's going to be popping up here and just sort of running through. We're going to see a grenade going down and actually popping a few SCVs just around the place right here. So the SCVs just getting popped around. We see that Reaper going down as it pops up to the high ground. And 6 Hellions in total from aLive just gathering up together. And yeah, just lots of Hellions out of aLive. Now we have seen him playing mech earlier today, and it's going to be him playing mech once again. He went for a very aggressive like Hellbat based drop when he played this earlier on. So I expect this starport to go onto this reactor after the Raven and just set up to sort of begin dealing with that. Viking here already is going to be looking to push this medevac back as the Hellions and the Reaper come into the main base, and well, that Widow Mine is not going to last very long at all. And honestly, this medevac is not really too long for this world either, although that said, the Viking is not in range of it. It looks as though it will get a boost just about in time to keep on escaping up the top side. 1 Marine will drop off here. It's kind of a tough one because if the Viking can cut it off, then he might get the kill, but it's a very risky chase to make. And he's just going to stay back at home with the Viking and Raven instead. So, stays back at home with this, and the Hellions just going to be gathering still together on the natural expansion. This Liberator from KeeN is going to come across now again. So, a big fan of the Liberator in the TvT apparently. Obviously, he didn't see the kind of Viking before he made this Liberator, so he's still going to come in now, and Unfortunately, he's going to get shut down pretty early, but can still maybe deny some mining time, can still maybe just get an SCV kill or two, depending on how seriously aLive takes, as he actually drops the turret. One SCV kill, well, that's not bad at all in terms of defense from aLive. Obviously, it's pretty terrible for KeeN. An entire Liberator for one SCV and 50 energy or whatever off the Raven. Yeah, it's not pretty. Third CC coming up, so obviously as we go see the +1 melee missile, I'm not talking about Zerg here, the +1 infantry attack coming in for our Terran player, KeeN, he's going to be going into this and setting up in such a way that he's playing Bio. So we're going to see Bio versus Mech. Now we will see if there's going to be an aggressive Hellbat based drop. I feel as though there will be. Blue Flames on the way up, more Hellions building, and 2 Medivacs on the way as well. So I feel as though we will see an aggressive Hellbat based push in the early stages of this. And as we set up into this, I mean, I'm sorry, it's going to be interesting if KeeN can survive this initial attack. It'll be interesting to see how the game plays out. How does he try and play against Mech on New Gettysburg, where the Mech player can go up to 3 bases fairly easily. That said, he doesn't have a third CC yet. It will be much later than the Bio player. But that's a good thing. The Bio player, because he has a less efficient army, but a more mobile army, generally he will want to play a situation, a game, where he is focusing on sort of just moving around and expanding faster, using that mobility to his aid, and taking maybe worse trades, but slowing the Mech player down, stopping extra bases going up, picking off a couple of key units, such as a couple of tanks here, a couple of tanks there, that sort of thing. Lots of Hellbats load up. Here we go then. Attack begins to move across the map out of aLive. So he's got to move over to the left-hand side here. We see a few more Hellions just joined up together. 3 Vikings and a Raven currently overhead as well. And I mean, you look at the setup here from KeeN, and I mean, this is a fairly late kind of Hellbat-based attack from aLive, obviously. He's got a couple of tanks mixed in. He's got a lot mixed in. But if he drops on top of all of this, I mean, the Marines will disappear very quickly. And the tanks won't be too far behind. The Raven goes down before he can actually use an auto turret or anything. It's a little bit of a mistake there. As here we go, Hellbats will drop on top. One Medivac actually goes down as it lifts the tank to try and save it. And KeeN, well, he begins to spread out. He's got another tank from the high ground coming in. He's got a couple of Marauders up there too. This Viking combo is going to be pushing back another Medivac. Doesn't get a kill though. This tank on the high ground will fall, and I don't think KeeN dies. I think KeeN stays alive, but I do think he is going to lose a fair amount here. And it's just going to slow him down enough to allow aLive to set up into a third base and to just set up into other things. Actually, these SCVs out on the map are really scaring me because these tanks are going to have the time of their lives working their way through those. In fact, these Hellbats may want to go into Hellion mode again, as it would be a little bit of a faster way to kind of keep track of all of these SCVs. We do see him just chasing around as Hellbats still. Tanks can get another shot off or two though, and actually the more workers that are lost over there, the more painful this looks to be for KeeN. Because initially he was looking as though he's just more or less trading armies, but now he's really losing a good chunk of his economy as well. Only 2 workers left of this. He's still trying to run them away. Hellbat's going to load up again. And these tanks just working their way through the third base as KeeN has to find a moment or two where he can attack into this, push this away, push this back. Actually has a couple of Vikings coming out, and that's pretty neat because that means he can of course push the Medivac away, and there's no way for this tank to necessarily kind of just be lifted up and be kited away as the next sort of stage of this comes in. Dropping towards the main base once again. Love it. A few Hellbats to force the pull away, and then the Hellions to chase as well. And it's another 16 workers going down. All of a sudden, KeeN finds himself on 32 workers against 57. This attack from aLive is so powerful. We saw it against Gumiho early on Frost, and he just completely destroyed him. It was a very similar sort of thing. It was actually a bit more one-sided against Gumiho, but you just attack. It's such a strong composition at a stage of the game where the Bio player is just not necessarily ready to already be fighting against a Mech army with such tanky units such as Hellbats in such high numbers. So it really does catch a lot of Bio players off guard, and it's probably one of the strongest timings a Mech player can do before the 10-minute marker off of like 2 bases, which is pretty interesting. We're going to see these 3 tanks just join together, a couple of Hellions and the Hellbats too. All of this joined together. We're going to be seeing this Liberator going to be sieging on up, and we do see a couple of Vikings, some Medivacs, a tank, and the Bio Force moving up to the top side. Army supplies are still very competitive here out of KeeN, but he's behind in economy, and we just talked about how the Bio player wants to be the one who's moving around the map, who's taking opportunities, who's finding chances to get stuff done. But he's not necessarily, that's not, but he's not going to be able to do that if he's got less SCVs, if he's not being able to trade, if he can't trade badly because he can't keep up with economy. So Liberator over here picks up 6 kills, and it's again just more of a dagger in the side of KeeN's mineral lines at this point. As we're going to be seeing a couple of Vikings. Going to be starting to lead the charge once again. KeeN moving forwards with these couple of Vikings and just looking to push those Medivacs back. Medivacs are going to pull back just a little bit here as Marauders will turn, and they'll pick up a Hellion nice and quickly. So Hellion goes down pretty swiftly here, and again, just units gathering together, scan going down, and not going to be seen up in the skies. This couple of Vikings just going to be trading each other out as here we go. The attack on in. When you have the Hellbats, it'll just drop on top of the Bayou army. It just does so much damage, as we're going to be seeing. Well, actually, KeeN makes a lot more progress than I thought he would. KeeN actually comes out ahead of that fight. Wow, well, he comes out not necessarily ahead, but he kills off, and he has armies left standing. I didn't think that was going to be the case. I actually really thought that was going to be aLive cleaned up very easily. I guess as the Hellbats went down, the tanks kind of died off pretty quickly afterwards. More units from KeeN were kind of being sent across, but now they're going to have to gather up towards the top side. And as they gather towards the top, we will just be seeing aLive. Well, he's going to stabilize. I mean, he never really fell behind. Just looked a little bit scary for a moment or two as he had to reposition some tanks from over towards the third base, towards the frontier where that attack was happening. We've seen a few more tanks just loading up into the medevacs, and again, just going to see a 4th CC coming in towards the top side of the third base, so 4th CC will move out very shortly. I'm just going to see those units just moving out for aLive. So just units moving out here. Just going to start taking another position on the map. I think he knows. He's been trading very well. And oh no, these tanks drop so close to this bio. The bio is going to take so much damage. Actually, gets rid of one of the tanks, but still only getting rid of 1 of 5. Doesn't really matter. And there's also so much in the back as well. Vikings picking away at medevacs too. It's just such a frustrating competition to play against. When you're already on the back foot as the bio play, it's just so difficult. You know, where do you really even go? How do you start to get back into it? The Terran, you know, the mech player can afford to be very sad, and that's going to be the Wardi Open. Obviously, we had a lot of this event kind of played out. Again, we had the qualifiers due in August, which had great viewership, and the group stages at the start of September also had ridiculously good viewership. We had a long time between the events here. Between the group stages and the main event, because, well, first of all, Snoot went to Copa America, then we had WESG qualifiers being a bit of a pain, and then also we actually had Casper Cup qualifiers and the Casper Cup and the WESG event, which we had players at. Obviously, both of our players, Marine Lord and Nurture, went to the Casper Cup. Both of them went to WESG as well, so there's no real way for us to schedule this any sooner. It really, really wasn't a way, so we try to get it as soon as possible. Obviously, it's not fun to have matches delayed, but they are still here now, and, well, here we are to the bottom right side on game number 3 of our first best of 5 tonight. It's our Blue Terran play from Africa. It is aLive. Coupons are used up? Really? Oh, wow. Maybe we didn't have as many as I thought. I mean, how many did we start on? We started on, like, I guess we used up quite a few today, actually. We used up already, like, over 25, I think, so I think, I'm trying to figure it out. We started at like 8. Yeah, we must have used up about most of the match. You guys have been pretty fast to use them. So thank you everyone who did use up the coupons. Do appreciate it, guys. Obviously, if you still want to add to prize pool, you're free to. But of course, it is not required. And it does mean that now I've used up the coupons, I can stop mentioning it all the time. It's a good job, guys. Now we can talk about other things. To the bottom left is going to be our Red Terran player. It is KeeN here. The Red Terran player for... Well, again, he was on Africa, but then I think he left Africa. I don't actually know what happened. It's not really... I don't know if it's actually been official or not if he's left Africa. Anyways, we'll see. I think he still is on Africa. I just think he wasn't listed as Africa for one event, but there's nothing official being said, so... We do just see this Reaper from aLive, just sitting on that watchtower for a couple of moments, then going to continue back down to the bottom right-hand side here. Going to be seeing the reactor is currently on the way up, so... We're actually currently on the way up here from aLive, and just going to be setting up this... Ripper just patrolling back and forth. The command center just going to be finishing up here in just a few moments. So CC going to finish up in just a few moments time. And it's just a CC on either side of the map. Factory building up here, finishing from KeeN. Starport's already starting though from aLive. And it's again going to be a double Hellion, a reacted Hellion opening here from our Terran player aLive to the bottom right. Horizontal spawns and frost means pushing powers are more kind of amplified. In TvT, the 4th base is sort of a weird one because you will take the 3rd up here generally. But then you sort of get to the 4th and, well, because it's horizontal, it's very easy to push through the south side and siege tanks in this location. So it does have an effect on the 4th base quite significantly, this map, and this spawning location. So, a little bit interesting here. You see a Reaper and 2 Hellions just joined up at the front, just joined up on the high ground. And we've seen the Cyclone is on the way out of the factory as well. So Cyclone on the way out. And a couple of Marines building too. Very safe defensive opening from KeeN. Very similar to the last game as well, actually, only instead of the Liberator being made, he's actually just going straight to the Viking. Wasn't the last game, may have been game number 1. Either way, it's still a fairly safe standard opening with the Cyclone coming in. It just keeps you very secure against most things. Cyclones are like the gods of defending in the early stages of TvT. You think, what kind of Cyclone not really defend? Well, obviously any kind of like major bio attack is going to be kind of crap against, but when do you ever see that in TvT? Well, you just don't. So actually for TvT, Cyclones are like king. They defend Cloak Banshees, they defend Liberators, they help to defend Widowmine drops, any sort of medevac based drop. They're very good at picking off Hellions and Reapers in the early game. Cyclone is almost always worth the investment in Terran versus Terran matchup. As we are going to be seeing the Raven popping out again now, a Viking coming up straight away. There's a reactor building up on the barracks. And still just reactoring out Hellions as maybe aLive looks to play mech here once again. It's definitely a possibility. You see Hellions going to be catching the Reaper here. Picking up that kill. Grenade went off and did a little bit of damage, but nothing too significant. And we just do see KeeN himself just gathering the Marines up. He's not reacting Hellions, of course. He's reacting Marines. He has been from the start. And it looks as though he's going to be going for like maybe a little bit of a tank drop Marine attack once again from the early stages. Reaper from aLive, still alive, and is just sat to the south side. Hellions starting to move out. Well, there's only 4 Hellions, no way, yeah, 6. So there's the armory coming down too. Starting to see aLive getting set up in towards this Hellbat-based attack. Once again, the reactor is on the starport, so you can get out a couple of medevacs and go for this. And if he does go for it with a couple of medevacs popping out now, it would be much faster than the last game, but he's actually going to make 2 more Vikings. So he's not going to go for it just yet. Just going to get the armor up so he can morph in the Hellbats if he needs them. SCV going to place down a depot just at the wall. So depot gets placed down at the wall. Going to be seeing a factory just being added on. I mean, aLive just adding on his extra production basically. So continue to set this out, and 1-1 upgrades coming in from KeeN. Again, a big big amount of diversity in terms of what sort of composition both players will play. Mech out of aLive, bio-based army out of KeeN. Third base landed from aLive as well, and it's always scary when the Terran player who's playing mech is the one who's dropping his third base down first, so it's slightly problematic. I mean, KeeN's not too far behind though, but it is still just a little bit of a mental thing, like, yeah, I've got my third base down before you. That's fantastic. You're going to see that Marine getting picked off there, and Hellions just holding the centre of the map still. Obviously with the Helpians, they're very mobile, and they are able to hold the centre of the map very easily in the early stages of the game. Unless like the majority of this bio army came out to kind of deflect those Hellions, they're not really going to be pushed away from that. So the mech player holding the map control for now. Single racks down here, watching for drops moving on in the early stages. Scan from KeeN is probably the first time he's going to identify that this is mech play, so just getting the confirmation on that. And we'll see if he goes into any major switch-ups at all. I think he scanned just about in time to decide what add-ons to add onto these barracks. If he'd seen bio, he would have added on 2 reactors. But seeing mech, he's going to add on an extra tech lab. Obviously, if you're playing Marine tank against Marine tank, you only want Marines, hence more and more reactors are definitely beneficial. The reason for that is Marauders, while they can be a little bit tanky and somewhat useful, they're actually just kind of crap because they just don't do any DPS. So Marauders are kind of like dead space in an army of Marine tank versus Marine tank, just because they die so quickly as well because of the tanks, and the Marines chew through them pretty fast anyways. They don't really do much tanking. You'd be better off with 2 Marines. So never ever build more than 1 tech lab in a TvT if you're going to be playing Marine tank on Marine tank, because you just want to mass up those Marines, unless you're going to go some truly crazy strategy that has never been seen before, or is not assumed to be any good, which might exist. I mean, don't let me hold you back. Just from general observations, that is what we sort of see. Anyways, third base continues to just build up here. Another mule going to be dropping down. Sensor towers up as well, and it is important for the mech player to have control and vision to make sure he's not going to be caught off guard, especially because his army is slow moving and has to be positioned well. He needs as much warning as possible with anything, any sort of attack. He needs to be having a bit of a good amount of pre-warning to make sure that he's not going to be taken, caught off guard, and his army's going to be in position, and that he's not just going to get stimmed into and killed instantly. So that's really important for aLive to kind of maintain. And again, he's doing that through having a sensor tower on the right-hand side here, covering sort of the third base or so. It's going to be seeing this couple of Hellbats currently just flying up to the north and looking to see what they can get up to. One Marine going to sit on this watchtower, more Hellions moving down to the south, and again just looking to see how this might go. Factory is actually positioned just off of the main base, so we're not going to see that's sort of weird. Are we just going to see pure kind of bio Viking? It looks like he's going to try and take air control, and if you do get air control, then you can sort of to some extent, just drop on top of the tanks. You can maybe even introduce some Liberators as well. So giving up his factory-based production, he's not going to try and hold down positions with tanks of his own, which can definitely slow down a mech army still. It's a very different way of approaching this from KeeN, so intrigued to see how exactly it'll play out as time passes by. These Hellions just sat on the ramp right now. See how that's coming towards the Navish expansion. Still aLive as the mech player who's generally very defensive, finding ways to be aggressive, finding ways to just be a nuisance at this stage of the game, just slowing down KeeN from getting to the kind of later game setup that he wants to be in, which is, I mean, obviously the Bible is nice to say play for the later game, but if he is going to be going to the later game, he wants to make sure he's set up nice onto bases, has a big bank to work with so you can trade it out, maybe even tech switch. Can't really tech switch super easily off of the free base economy while maintaining enough army to not just die from an attack. So really needs to kind of get that fourth base up for the tech switch to become fairly viable here as we see Marauders continue to pick away at those Hellions. And actually the army which came down this right hand side we saw a moment or two ago is going to end up looping around and shutting those Hellions off, stopping them from being able to get away here. Another scan out of KeeN, who just identifies kind of what's going on here early. There's a little bit of a look to see, you know, just sort of what is in the army of his opponent. Still just building up more and more Vikings. How many has he got now? 13 to 9. It is getting to that stage where if aLive doesn't add in some 4s, then Liberators could really have a huge impact on this game. And look at this, a fusion core as well. I like it. We actually saw earlier aLive against Gumiho, or Gumiho against, yeah, aLive versus Gumiho. Gumiho made some Liberators and actually very nearly won the fight, or kind of defended a game where he was so far behind against mech because of the Liberators. But the 4s came in, and the 4s have the range to kind of outdo a Liberator. And that is pretty huge, and that's sort of the difference. So without 4s, this army's still messed up and in trouble. But once 4s get introduced, then the 4s aren't as much of a... Once the 4s get introduced, then they can fight the Liberators, but not if they have Liberator range. I'm going to see this Bioforce stimming in over here, and I'll just get a tank or two, a sensor tower. Tries to get away, but the Hellbats are going to block him off. They make a complete wall up over here. And that's going to be those Marines and Marauders picked off. But it is KeeN now taking an opportunity to try and attack. Doesn't find anything over here, though. The turrets, more than enough. And look at this defense as well. 4 tanks, 2 Widow Mines. No way is KeeN going to be able to find an opening on that third base either. Not a chance. Moynihan's going to be coming over to the right here. And we're just going to be seeing a bit more bio just stimming forwards. Just going to be trying to pick away at one of this, so at this orbital command. Just going to force to lift up here. 4th base establishing for both players now. KeeN going to get his down in position as well. These Vikings, not sure they really want to show themselves against the Hellion, because I still feel as though aLive doesn't necessarily know exactly just how much there is for his opponent. We do now see 4 Liberators being made at a time, and there is that advanced ballistics, that Liberator range we talked about, that just makes it so much better for them. And it means that, you know, you can't actually fight against this without just having enough Vikings of your own, without losing, you know, without just winning the air fight. So this is going to be really, really kind of interesting, because KeeN's just got a composition that should just kill aLive if he can. I mean, for now, he doesn't even need the advanced ballistics, because again, we talked about this before. If the advanced ballistics are up, that's great. It helps against the 4s. If there's no 4s up, then it doesn't really necessarily matter. You can see a turret or two actually doing a good amount of damage over here for KeeN, picking up a Viking or so, as aLive is just going to come into a bit of a base trade, attacking all the way over towards KeeN's side of the map. You see a couple medevacs from the right-hand side of KeeN. They are looking to load up and maybe get some more damage done. Which you're going to be seeing Vikings and Liberators starting to move forwards. They're going to try and engage into this. I mean, why not? He's got absolutely nothing to lose. He's going to siege up here, and you can just see those tanks are dead. So those tanks go down very quickly. And that's the power of these Liberators. Now, a lot of workers were just lost by KeeN, and more going down somewhere. Oh, there they are. They actually ran away up to the sides. The Hellions found them. 21 workers lost, but I do like his army. I mean, let's look at the units tab. 17 Vikings to 9 and a Raven. 7 Liberators as well. I mean, there's the 4s starting to build, but he has advanced ballistics, and that outranges the 4s, and 4s do take a lot of damage to this. 4s do take a lot of damage to this. So you're going to see these Vikings coming in. Where are the Liberators going to siege up first? Oh, I like the Widow Mines. Actually, the Widow Mines are a really smart choice. The Widow Mines might be the one way he actually does clean these out a little bit more easily. I mean, it's not perfect, but it does slowly work. You can see the Widow Mines. They actually have drilling claws as well, so it actually does really help out. Liberators against mines. I don't think I've ever seen Liberators against mines. Have you guys? I don't think I've ever seen it. Not once. A little bit of bio still positioned to the right-hand side, and now more 4s on the way up. Liberators are going to siege from a distance. This is the thing. They can siege from a distance. And they're already shutting down this mineral line. Vikings staying close, knowing that if it comes to an air fight, he needs to protect the Liberators. He needs to keep those safe. Setting up once again, the fours very narrowly in range there for more than just a moment or two. As the Marauders came up this side to just defend against the Hellions, and well, here we go, aLive moving down to this bottom left side. He's still committed to this attack forwards. And looks as though he still wants to go for this. He's going to find himself a few Marauders and Marines to begin with, and well, I mean, this fourth base is in a lot of trouble. KeeN has not kind of taken this move across the map seriously enough. That said, there's no force with this, so how does he plan on defending these tanks? I have no idea. Liberators just need to set up, and I mean, there's nothing to kind of be anti-Liberator here at all. Vikings are going to come in, they're just going to start targeting down the Liberators, and they are going to get rid of them. That said, but the Vikings will now start to fall themselves. I mean, so okay, he kind of protects himself from the Liberator fight for a little while. Still takes a lot of damage. 12 workers lost against the 5. Worker counts become very, very even. Slight army supply lead still from aLive. Playing the mech army, you have to be worried for him, but you have to be feeling good for him, but at the same time, you have to be worried about this composition. He is now making 6 Vikings at a time. It's, oh, Widowmines, 3 of them catching the Vikings there, and all of a sudden the Viking count is dead even, and this becomes a very different kettle of fish, because at this point, what do you do? At this point, what do you do as KeeN actually? Because you're still making Liberators. You also need to make the Vikings, and well, there's the 4s coming in here now as well. They go into the anti-air mode, and it's not going to be pretty when these 4s come and attack you. It's not going to be pretty at all. We're going to see us just gathering together once again. A few more tanks just having together and joining up. I mean, upgrades continue rolling in here as well, mostly from our actual Red Terran player. He actually has ship weapons, so he actually has the better upgrades in the skies. Also has vehicle planes, so his Vikings, etc. are way, way, way above those of aLive. That's a bit of a mistake by aLive. He's getting ship vehicle plating now, which obviously covers ground and air, but he has not got any ship weapon upgrades. It's going to be seeing a 4 lifting up into this medevac, and we are going to be seeing all the Liberators again. They can siege from a distance. I mean, as long as the Widowmines can't get to them, that's fine. If there's enough Vikings in the sky, then it'll stop anything like a drop coming in towards them or so. So they should be safe once they're set up. It's just the fact those Widowmines have drilling close, so they go forward so quickly. So quickly. We're going to see a couple more Liberators coming up once again here. Need to push forwards. A little bit of the bio from KeeN starting to get into a position here. We can get something done. aLive just has to pick the right moment. He's still just massing up Vikings. 11 against 11 right now. But he does lack the air upgrades when it comes to the Vikings, and I think that is his major issue. But he does have the force to support him as well, so there's lots of differences between the players, there really is. As here we go, a little bit of a fight. Of course, and a good couple of shots off. Actually, just softened up the Vikings quite a lot to allow the Vikings of his own to sort of do what they need to do. Liberator is still in the distance though, and something he still has to sort of consider. How is he going to fight against those? How is he going to push through these? Because he is sort of being cut off to his own kind of bottom right side of the map. He has got a base at the top right. Here we go, picks off 1 or 2 just as he starts off here. Going to turn and fight once again, just pick off a couple more Vikings, some of them are low health. He's actually going to be able to start making some progress forwards. Now the Liberators are starting to go down very quickly. Reinforcements come in. aLive's already backing away though, he's not going to be caught off guard. And these Widowmines are playing very safe, just staying very, very kind of far back, not allowing themselves to be picked off. Very patiently right now from aLive as he does now decide to attack in though, so here we go. Liberators go down pretty quickly. The Bioforce is attacking in. The Force taking a lot of damage initially, but as he runs in towards the tanks just do so much in terms of pushing this back. Force and these Vikings continue to clean up, and more of these units continue to go down. He's going to be seeing this Liberator going to be going down as well, so more units getting cleaned up right now. These few tanks going to unsiege and continue through the south side, and actually after a fight like that, aLive might just feel confident enough to go and siege up his opponent, to go and take a fight, take an engagement, see what he can do. Liberators aren't going to be as much of an issue now because he does have the force to just sort of target them down quickly, I think. I'm just going to see those few tanks just going up to the top side. They are going to fight. I mean, he knows there's a base up there, so he's just going to try and shut that down a little bit, shut down some of the mining of KeeN, and just slowly begin to choke him out of game number 3. And we've seen these tanks just sieging up once again. Fours are looking around, looking to see what direction they may want to, again, attack in from, what direction is going to be beneficial for them. We're all going to see some SCVs just being targeted down just a few at a time, so lots of SCVs actually being taken down here. There's quite a few SCVs following. Do you see that Liberator is going to siege up? Oh, it's going to get rid of them in time. I mean, Liberators actually do a lot of damage. Even if this base is going to be on fire for a little while, it can be repaired. A little bit of a Marauder attack from KeeN to the south side, and again, just has to take it seriously aLive. He doesn't want to just attack in unsiege. Can't afford to lose too much because he doesn't know probably how good a position he's in at this point. I mean, you can even argue that he's in that good of a position at all. It's not that far away. It's not that far away in terms of supply, and actually KeeN just goes ahead in supply right now, so it is a little bit back and forth. Worker count does favour KeeN. aLive really needs to kind of get this base up here. He is floating a CC towards it, or is he going top right? I'm not sure where he's going. So he misclicked that somewhere. So we do see his mech army actually coming down this side. Well, that's going to be this fourth base tonight, at least the mining on it. Just leaves 2 tanks there and actually backs away from the rest. Knows that'll be enough to really just get enough of these SCVs. KeeN taking a lot of damage, sat in the middle of the map. Nice scan just to reveal where that army is. 15 workers killed off here, and this orbital can still taking fire. And that's the worker count issue dealt with, evened up now. Go back to the units tab, 7 against 8 Vikings. And it really is the Viking count which is so important in all of this. But the upgrades as well will just help KeeN out. So being on equal numbers is definitely beneficial to KeeN. If you wouldn't mind mixed in here as well. If they can connect, well, that would be fantastic. As we do see just KeeN identifying that these extra bases are on the way up. Starts to pull away towards this top side, realizing that base is up over there. No real response to that from aLive. It's actually a nice reason to have taken this base first, because if KeeN doesn't necessarily go, if he doesn't send Marines out to go try and scout it, he's probably not going to kind of just randomly scan that base. At least not for a long time, until we're properly into like the later stages of the game here. 10 more workers of aLive going down, as we're just going to be seeing Vikings moving over to the left side once again. Position himself. See what he can get up to. Sure, what those Vikings can do. They're going to land on this base over here. Oh, those Liberators clean up the fours. Okay, well, I see. If those Liberators clean up the fours, that makes a lot of sense, because now you just use the Vikings to clean up the Liberators. 3 kills. Well, that's nice. Obviously, Liberators is one of the more efficient ways to clean up the fours, so it does make sense. These Widowmines actually are in the center of the map. Have been picking up a kill here, kill there. Just stopping KeeN from reinforcement without costing him some units. And that's painful. I mean, just so much being done here aLive again and again and again. Just continue pushing into good positions. He sees how far back the Vikings are. Now he's actually going to come in. He's going to get rid of 3 Liberators before the Vikings even begin to respond. He's going to keep on fighting in the skies. Another Liberator goes down. I mean, those Vikings aren't going to stand much of a chance either. KeeN all of a sudden does not really have anything left at all. Another Widowmine shot goes off. I'm just going to see those Vikings coming in once again. We do see another scan. Just having a look to see what's going on. Both players trying to keep up to date. I mean, actually, it was KeeN just trying to pick off some of these Widowmines. Oh no, Widowmines all over the place on the Liberators and the army. Oh man, as we see aLive now pushing through the bottom side watchtower. Looks as though he's beginning to really just have choked out KeeN here in game number 3. aLive, he was down 1 game. Looks as though he's going to be going into game 4 with match point on his hand. Everything to play for him, of course. Going to the top 4 doesn't quite guarantee the prize when he puts him very close to it. He's going to see another Widowmine just going off, helping out just a little bit. The fight in the sky is still just going the way of aLive here, and will end up going to our Blue Terran player. And it just means he can continue to push forward much more safely now. He can get rid of the Liberators more easily. And that's a huge, huge factor. And I was going to see just this army continue to advance forwards. Both players scanning and identifying again the situations they're about to be pushing on in towards. Liberators trying to set up defensively. I mean, what good's that when you're just going to die to the Vikings anyways? Just pushing up this direction, he will get down a few SCVs. This base is going to fall. And honestly, at this point, KeeN doesn't really have that much around. He's got a lot of marauders to the top side of the map. And they might be able to deny this base, maybe even deny this base. Which is annoying, but at the same time, there's not going to be very much fresh mining left over for our Zerg player either. As you do see, Four's fighting without the Vikings here, just taking a little bit more damage than they maybe needed to. Well, those Vikings gone. Have they been killed off? Only 4 left, so yeah, he actually lost his Vikings over here. The Vikings of his opponent missed. I didn't quite see that one. As we are going to be seeing Hellbats just continuing to pick their way through another depot or so. This refinery going to keep on taking damage, also falls. Force is still picking away at whatever possible here. Another depot falls down as well. There's a starport going down. I mean, lots of marauders go across the map, but how well prepared is KeeN is aLive? Well, he's got 2 tanks on the high ground, so that's pretty safe as both players started working away each other's production. Trade here is fairly even. The Liberators actually going to come in and try and mess things up to try and put it into the other player's favour. We're going to see Force coming in again. They will get rid of these Vikings. Liberators sieging up from a distance to try and slow down the attack onto his production. These Marines, Marauders still working their way through. A couple more depots to the right hand side here. This refinery going to go down as well. KeeN down 60 supply. What does he do at this point to really come back in the game? I mean, he's base trading, which Might very well just be the best option because it was apparent that he could not really engage this army. I'm not sure. It feels like we need to do more earlier. Shouldn't have let a base like this come up. Should always have vision over that or so. So easy a base to have vision on. Really should have been able to kind of pick that up earlier and just deny that. Stop a lot of the mining from the mech player much earlier on. We're going to see these tanks just going to be sieging up and working their way through. This base gets found out. I see he'll be pulled into repair. I mean, what else are they going to do? Even actually repairing this soul as planetary. Look how much damage it does. These marauders on low health. So actually every planetary shot was killing off 2 or 3 of them. Tanks up here continue to be effective. There's the Liberators once again. That's what we needed those Vikings for. All the fours just be nearby. Either way, aLive, just 109 army supply to the 37. 70 army supply ahead is very difficult to lose at this point. You'll just be seeing him get rid of another starport, another Liberator, which was on the way. Now denied it. In fact, there really just isn't that many bases left over of KeeN any longer. One up in the skies over here, one rebuilding, and one floating over here too. It has the two refineries in the factory on the low ground, and the floating racks as well. aLive can continue to build Vikings though, so floating buildings is not an issue. This will not be a draw. There's no way to force a draw out of this one unless he makes the craziest plays ever. I'm pretty sure it's impossible because he has nothing that really shoots up anymore. 2 Marines, 2 Liberators, not enough to realistically snipe down every Viking and all the workers to stop aLive from mining anything. And the orbiters, it's just not going to happen. This factory is going to take some damage and just continue to see aLive continue to push on through. Going to get rid of the refinery down here as well. And KeeN, well, he's got a few more years left over. This is probably going to be his final fight trying to defend against this. We see the Liberators not going to go down straight away. Probably should have done because, man, the Liberators do so much damage. As SCVs only remain over here, the fours still staying alive. A few Hellbats to join the army as well, and that will be GG. And that'll be aLive taking game number 3 after 25 minutes. And basically, depending on how many games you won and so on, and if you were the last man standing, you got points. And then the top 8 on points made it to the top 8 finals stuff. So it was pretty cool, actually. Like, it's not the sort of thing you might think of as maybe being kind of like a super cool format, but it actually was really cool. There's no documentation of that on Wikipedia. That was a long time ago. Long time ago. Having a blast, says Viet Angel in the chat. Does any of the other round of 8 matches play yet? No, this is the first round of 8 match we have for you guys from the Wardi Open. Early on in this TvT right now, we are going to be seeing the multi-rack sweeper coming out of KeeN, the 2-rack sweeper to be exact. No second gas, it will be an expansion coming down from him as a follow-up. The second gas follow-up is something you can do and go into a factory fairly early on to kind of, well, just sort of change things up and to make things a little bit more interesting. These 2 Reapers of KeeN are going to be joined up at the front then, and again we see a Reaper of aLive just the top right hand side, just the one. Do we see already one Reaper dying? No, just the SCV. So just going to see Reapers gathering for KeeN, and he'll get aggressive soon, but he will be going up against Hellions, and that'll create an interesting scenario. Actually, 2 Reapers come out here from aLive, and that's going to go into a third one too. So continuing with this production, going into a fairly delayed starport off of this Reaper Hellion. So Reaper Hellion in the early stages of aLive, going into an expansion, both players expanding. And we'll just be waiting to see what the next move is for both in the early stages of the TvT still. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in. It is so great. And I know I keep saying this, but it really is so crazy to see so many of you tuning in for an event which is branded just as the Wardi Open, you know, instead of, for our event, basically. And hold that fort, units. And it's because so many of you have tuned in, supported this event so much, that we are bringing this event back. In December, we will be announcing the first ever WardiTV Open, which is basically the Wardi Open, just with WardiTV. Because obviously when we announced this, WardiTV wasn't a thing. Or it was a thing, just no one knew about it apart from me. So we are going to be bringing this event back. It is going to be the WardiTV Open coming this December. And it's all because you guys love the event so much. You keep tuning in, you keep watching, you keep streaming, you keep tuning in, supporting and stuff like that. So thank you so much, guys. It's really awesome to see so much support for the event. It really is. Even the players, I think, are very surprised at how much support and love this event has gotten. It's really been crazy. As we do see 2 Hellions, 3 Reapers going to be looking to move up this ramp, having a little bit of think about what they want to do, if they want to do it or not, because though they do, probably the safe decision, as we do see Cloak Banshee on the way from aLive, a Cyclone as well, helping him to defend here in the near future. As the Viking comes up from KeeN, he's actually got into, well, he had 2 racks, right, so he has the tech lab and the reactor early, and that'll be a bit of a faster bio setup for KeeN in this game. than what you might originally kind of expect. Full scout though from aLive. Sending his Reapers in here. Gonna pick up a fair amount of information and just gonna throw down a grenade or two, gonna blast some units away, and oh ho ho, nearly blasted the Cyclone out of range there. Gonna actually turn and fight, gets one Reaper kill, gonna be looking for the next one too. Is gonna get it. Boxes up back to the high ground and is gonna go back to the low ground, but the Cyclone's already helped to pick up a Reaper, and all the Reapers go down. But that's sort of okay because at this sort of stage of the game, the Reapers and Hellions aren't gonna do too much. They're not gonna make much of a difference. So just trading off for a couple of workers here and there. Well, it all works out nicely. As we're going to be seeing SCV is starting to go down from this Banshee. So SCV is picking off this Banshee, and just going to be seeing a few workers continuing to drop here. So 5 workers getting picked off nice and quickly. This Banshee actually going to be killing a depot as well. Forced to cancel. Nice. Okay. Third base builds up from KeeN. Same for aLive. Apart from kind of, well, air units such as the Banshees, they're going to be very secure third bases, unable to be attacked really kind of too early on. So nice to sort of just see them building in location. Neither player really being afraid of that or anything. As you see, this Banshee just going to loop around the right-hand side or so. A Cyclone, a couple of Hellions, Marines, and a tank are moving forwards here from aLive. So a little bit of pressure coming in, but I don't think he's really going to be too successful with it. Anything else, though? I don't think it's going to do too much. Actually, the Banshee didn't even check over towards this third base, which he could have done. He could have actually denied the third base from mining quite some time ago. At this point, I don't even think he'll deny it mining. The Banshee just won't get there in time. So it's kind of an interesting one that he didn't even check it, you know? It's one of those things that you feel, you know, if you've got a Banshee up, it's not going to be a harassing the bases. You may as well just check the third base because it's kind of the natural location to maybe get some damage on next. To delay. Especially when he's doing the exact same thing across the map. You know? He's doing the exact same thing across the map. Couple of Hellions going to be coming in towards the top and just still moving around these few units, just I'm going to see what direction they can go in. A combat shield is on the way up from KeeN, and we see the +1 weapons also on the way out at the moment. So +1 weapons coming out, the combat shield's not far off. And these couple of Banshees actually going to cloak up and continue moving forwards. Just going to fly past that third base. And just going to go in towards the main base right now. So going to be looking to see what they can do. Actually picking off multiple Marines. Because there's 2 of them, they actually pick off Marines pretty quickly. Scan should be available soon. There it is. Going to be seeing the Marines up in the corner of them as the Cyclone and Viking will continue to push these Banshees away as well. I'll say the scan, he might actually outlast the scan, and he does. There's going to be another scan coming down, but no way he's going to get out alive. Oh, no way, the Cyclone locked onto it. That was so broken. Cyclone locking on as it leaves range, fires a shot, and like kills it like 5 foot out of range or something crazy. Absolutely crazy. You're seeing these 2 Marines just sat on the right-hand side watchtower. This Cyclone is moving through, or moving down the right side of the map. And 2 tankovacs just up in the skies from aLive. Continue to push forwards and continue to see what's going to be happening. A tank there from KeeN is going to be fighting back as well. Just going to be seeing this Marine Hellion just sort of trading over here as well, so Marine Hellion just going to end up trading and yeah, just again more units from aLive because we're pushing forwards. aLive already kind of up in supply by 20 army. Like, I mean, what did he really see lost here? I mean, I guess he picked off a fair few SCVs and Marines with his early kind of Banshee play. I guess that's more or less all it's been up until now because, yeah, I mean, he's got a bit of an advantage and that's all he's really done. He is behind by an he's ahead by a +1 upgrade as well. Wow, he's actually really good position right now. Loses his tanks though, a bit of a miss micro by aLive. Well, that isn't pretty. He has so much money in the bank too, so not only is he ahead, but he's also ahead and messing up. Pretty crazy. There's going to be see just this Marines coming in. We're going to see the tanks starting to work their way through this base. Some SCVs coming forwards to repair me as needed, but 8 workers already killed off. Here we go, Marines move forwards, trying to get tanks, a little bit messy. Gonna try and drop it to the 1 Marine that's left over on top of the tank here. As you see, the tanks have done a lot of damage though for aLive. I think it's been very successful for him. Same time, a few Marines move up the natural. They could run in and get some more economic damage done to his opponent. This tank, in fact, just going to be kiting backwards. These Marines, I don't even think aLive realizes he has them here. There we go, finally recognizing. Moves in, that's going to be more workers killed. Getting the worker kill tab up to 22, 23, 24 now. 25 on the way out. Turret goes down as well. And aLive is continuing to push his advantages in these games. And you see Marines just pushing those few Marines of aLive away. Continue to stem force here. KeeN just going to clean up just a little bit more. A few more of those Marines going down. And more units just gathering together. A few more units just from aLive coming down the right hand side. A couple of tank evacs will load on up. The Marines as well. He's just going to drop on in. That one medevac is so low on health and he has so many Marines inside. Honestly, it might just be okay. Anyways, he scans though. He sees the army. He realizes it might not be super safe to do that. Backs away. He gets scanned himself, so he does sort of get spotted coming. And has to be a little bit more careful. Two medevacs just going to go all the way to the left already, leaving the more damaged one on top of the rest of the army. I like that. Smart little move. It's just a little thing, but it does kind of add up. Tanks just coming in range of this third base again. It's been a troubling location for KeeN to try and defend in this game. He's had trouble with it all game long so far, so it's not a surprise to see aLive trying to abuse it once more. A few Marines go for a wonder into tank fire. That's not pretty either. Going to see this one Viking picking away a medevac. I mean, it's just one Viking, but it's just doing so much. These medevac's going to load up over here. Big counterattack by KeeN. Either a big counterattack or a big surround being set up by him. I feel like big counterattack, because surround doesn't make sense when these rocks aren't even broken down yet. You can't really attack in from this angle yet. As you're going to be seeing these Marines stimming in from aLive, and actually these tanks are going to lift fire away once again. Maybe trying to come in once more here, as we do see KeeN just going to be running up this ramp and having a little bit of a look to see what he can do. Marines of aLive are going to get rid of those rocks now then, and that's going to be a little bit more beneficial. And again, just going to get rid of this counterattack. It's actually been very annoying, but it means that kind of aLive can kind of attack and commit a bit more forwards as well, knowing that his opponent is so committed over here with so many Marines himself. And because aLive can just sit and wait, he just has a tank set up. There's no way KeeN breaks up this round. Absolutely no way. You can just see it's going to be a massacre. aLive are going to start moving a little bit further towards his opponent's production lines. He scans. He's going to split and fight the tanks. I don't like it necessarily. In fact, it's going to go kind of badly for him. Kills off 2 tanks, and that's about it. KeeN's going to type out GG anyways, because he runs out of stuff on the other side of the map. His attack has been shut down, and aLive